Welcome to the Bible reading journey, where we are traveling from Genesis to Revelation in a year. If you've been here before, welcome back. If you're just joining us, welcome to the journey. And just jump in where we are because it's never too late to start. Lighthouse Ministries is happy to be traveling this road with you. And today we are on day number 95 of the Bible reading journey. Today's reading itinerary is the book of 1 Kings, chapters 17 through 19. You might want to pause here and first dive into today's reading for yourself. Then join us back here for thoughts about today's journey. Today's journey is titled, Ahab's Battle with Elijah. And as usual, in our text notes, there's an outline of the book of 1 Kings to guide us on our journey. And today we are on section 2b of the outline. Well, these 3 chapters are about the ministry of the prophet Elijah. In chapter 17, Elijah, King Ahab, and the widow. Elijah the prophet tells King Ahab some news that does not make the king very happy. Verse 1, As surely as the Lord, the God of Israel lives, the God I serve, there will be no dew or rain during the next few years until I give the word. Well, this bad news forces Elijah into long-term hiding. We read of God's provision to Elijah during this time by God feeding him via ravens, the birds, beside a brook. Then God provides not only for Elijah, but also for a widow and her son through Elijah. Read these stories in chapter 17. In chapter 18, Elijah the prophet of God versus the 450 prophets of the god Baal. A summary will not do this story justice. But basically, Elijah dramatically comes out of hiding. He calls everyone to a mountaintop to challenge them. He issues a spiritual challenge first. In verse 21, How much longer will you waver, hobbling between 2 opinions? If the Lord is God, follow him. But if Baal is God, then follow him. But the people were completely silent. So next he issues a physical challenge. They put a bull sacrifice on top of wood and call on their God, big G or little g, to light it for them. Results? Well, the results for the prophet of Baal go like this from chapter 18, verses 26 and 29. Then they called on the name of Baal from morning until noontime, shouting, O Baal, answer us! But there was no reply of any kind. Then they danced, hobbling around the altar they had made. They raved all afternoon until the time for the evening sacrifice. But still, there was no sound, no reply, no response. The results for the prophet of God, Elijah. Immediately the fire of the Lord flashed down from heaven and burned up the young bull, the wood, the stones, and the dust, and it even licked up all the water in the trench. And when all the people saw it, they fell down on the ground and cried out, The Lord, He is God. Yes, the Lord is God. Verses 38 through 39. And then we end on chapter 19, Elijah, Jezebel, and Elisha. Elijah is forced back into hiding because Queen Jezebel is furious and orders the death of Elijah. The events have taken a physical and emotional toll on Elijah. In verse 4 of chapter 19, he prayed that he might die. I've had enough, Lord, he said. Take my life, for I am not better than my ancestors who have already died. God again provides for Elijah's physical and emotional needs. Then, after traveling 40 days and nights in the wilderness, Elijah again felt the toll. In verse 10, I have zealously served the Lord God Almighty, but the people of Israel have broken their covenant with you, torn down your altars, and killed every one of your prophets. I'm the only one left, and now they're trying to kill me too. God literally meets Elijah where he is, in his place of need. He comes not in a windstorm, earthquake, or fire, but in a gentle whisper. Verses 11 through 12. Then he gives Elijah a purpose and a plan. Today's reading ends with Elijah fulfilling one of those duties to call Elisha as the next prophet. So we see a cycle of Elijah working for God and God providing for Elijah. Whenever Elijah was at the end of his rope, physically and emotionally, he turned to God. God was the source of all of Elijah's needs. God provided shelter, rest, nourishment, and a renewed purpose. The thought of the day comes from the Daily Walk Bible. Did you notice when the prophet of God fell into the doldrums of depression? It was immediately after one of the greatest spiritual victories of his life. He had just confronted wicked Ahab and 450 of his pagan prophets and won by a score of 450 to nothing. Challenge of the day, also from the Daily Walk Bible. Think back to the last low time in your walk with God. What happened immediately before it? Were you perhaps physically or emotionally drained from ministering to the needs of others? Elijah found strength to continue by hearing the gentle whisper of God. Spend some extra moments in prayer and meditation today. The text notes contain information on how to find us on YouTube, Facebook, and email. Happy travels today. See you next time. This is Lisa at Lighthouse. God bless.